Hey everybody, it's Peter, and behind me is the Peterbilt Model 589, and it replaces the iconic Model 389, and there's controversy. Some people are very concerned about this model. So what we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna talk about the 5 main differences there are between this and the previous, no longer available Model 389, and we're gonna talk about if the controversy is valid or not valid at the end of this video. So I want to be clear, I'm filming here at Peterbilt Atlantic, and this series that I'm doing on big trucks is really just me learning about them and sharing what I learned. I'm not the expert on this, but I love working here with Peterbilt Atlantic. They have, I think it's 8 dealers in 5 provinces across the eastern part of the country, and they are awesome. They are super knowledgeable, super helpful, and very willing to let me kind of learn about these and share everything with you. So that's what we're doing. Let's talk about the controversy. Let's talk about the features in 5 different things. Let's start with the cab. Before we go too far, I should point out that this is not a brand new truck. This is actually a customer's truck, and I get to use it because it's got a lot of cool accessories. So one of the things about the original 389 is it had this classic Peterbilt look with this 3-piece hood. You've got fender, side piece, top piece. You've got the breathers on the side. That's all Peterbilt type stuff. And the 389, that's the image we all have of what a truck should look like. The 589 carries on that sort of general look, and one of the things it allows you to do is put on the traditional things. This is called a moose bumper. Whether we like it or not, there are moose out here in New Brunswick, and animal contact is a thing. So a couple cool things is moose bumper, still available on a vehicle like this, and then you also have the easy replaceability. A lot of trucks, you have to replace the entire hood if you have contact with something, whereas this one being multiple pieces, you can just choose the piece that you need to replace and go on. Now there are differences, like in this fender here. This fender is narrower at the back than it is at the front, and that's because this hood here has to flare wider now, and the reason it flares wider is because you have more space in the cab, both wider and longer, and that makes a huge difference inside the cab. We're gonna head inside the cab in a second here, but inside the cab, having a longer and wider cab makes it way more comfortable for the driver. Now, comfort is important, but comfort is also a safety feature, because as you're more comfortable, you get less fatigued. As the driver gets less fatigued, they just enjoy things a little bit better. There's a whole bunch of reasons why having a happy, comfortable driver is much safer, not just for the driver, but also for us on the road. So you have something that's modern inside with the classic look outside, and that's a big deal because all of the space that they put into this is really driver centric. It's really focused around keeping that driver more alert, more comfortable, more aware, and that's all good stuff. So in the trucking world, a lot of changes happen bit by bit by bit. You very rarely have a fully new model. Now, of course, the marketing people probably tell you that this is all new and all better, but reality is basically one of the main differences is this door is all new, but a lot of the other pieces are sort of the same, including this cab. You used to not be able to get the 72-inch rise. This is actually sort of a mid-rise, but you can have lower cabs on this. And again, fuel efficiency is still really important, even though this isn't the most fuel efficient front end that you have on the Peterbilt trucks. You still have options to have a lower trailer, you can get lower cabs and still have sleeper cabs. So remember, a driver's living in this for days and weeks at a time. You need it to be comfortable, and that's really where this wider cab here makes it more comfortable. But back here, you basically have some of the same stuff. So in that redesign, there's a couple cool things going on. These breathers are still here, but the hood kind of works around them, so they still have a little bit more fuel efficiency. And then again, you've got sort of work around here. The shape of the door is all new, but back here, you still got the basically square cab for sleeping. Now let's take a look at the second thing that's new, which is in the cab. So filming in the cab, you could really sort of sense that spaciousness. Now, one thing that's kind of cool is, although this is sort of all new, if you look around here, you really see what you saw in the 579 model or the 579 model, which is a lot of the same stuff. So I'm gonna show you what I'm looking at instead. Now, I don't want to adjust the seat height here because again, this is someone else's truck. You can see there's some accessories here like the gear shift, manual gear shift up tall, and this person sits really tall. But that's one of the cool things that you have is you're able to sit up and have a lot of spaciousness compared both in width and in length. And again, all of that is going to contribute to a more comfortable environment. So now that we're inside, let's talk about that second major change and we'll look out front here. So scanning around the driver's environment, the first thing you see is these West Coast style mirrors. So that's more of that classic kind of look. You've got the sort of wide angle there, And again, that separate piece. They call these West Coast style mirrors, that sort of two-piece mirror design. But inside, again, all modern. So you got the classic look with the breathers and you know, the hood is that classic look, but inside is fully modern. You got the nice modern switchgear, nice modern steering wheel that we've shown you before in some of our videos. And then you have this dash, and this dash is controversial to some people because a lot of them are used to sort of their traditional gauge style cluster here, but this is, and it's hard to sort of show the size, this is a 15-inch screen. So a 15-inch screen is far bigger than even modern vehicles for the most part. A lot of cars have, you know, a 10.25-inch screen, you know, maybe 12 or 13-inch screen, but a 15-inch screen is a huge screen. And really what this is about is clearly presenting the information that you want. Nothing stays still, so you've still got the classic gauge style in there, but you do have, you know, a digital dash that's going to show you more information. Not everybody's going to love that, but what this owner has done has equipped this sort of area where in the past I've talked about this as a GPS area in like the 579 model. So that 579 had a blank space. Another one that we looked at had the GPS type system in there. This one you've got the sort of the classic gauges here, so you can still kind of get that classic look. Now as you move in here, you're going to see a lot more modern amenities here. Again, just the general look of the modern dash. Again, it's not a fully modern dash. This has been used for a while, but it is updating. One of the things that's now standard is the automatic climate control. It used to have automatic climate control was an option. Now it's a standard piece here. And then of course you've got all the steering wheel controls here. But as you look out forward as well, it used to sort of be like that classic narrow window, kind of a split window kind of feel. This one is a fully modern windshield. Now, not everybody loves this. There's controversy in the trucking world about this. So this person has an aftermarket sort of wind or sunshade on there to kind of squinch it down a little bit, make it look a little cooler. Also probably give you some more extra practicality in the bright sunlight, again, because you don't need to see much above this, you need to see down from here. But visibility is very truck-like from here. You can see a little bit more angle to the hood here. Now that's exaggerated by the wide angle camera and just the angle I'm shooting at here, but a sort of a narrow angle. And this one, I should point out, he's got a sort of a pig with the wings accessory there, and also the old handles out front to give that classic look to this modern truck. Now this windshield is very curved as well. That's going to help with aerodynamics. That's sort of a requirement in a modern trucking. You have to have a certain level of aerodynamics to run these trucks down the road now, and this matches and hits what it's supposed to hit. So new interior, modern amenities is a big piece of this. So the third thing we're talking about is better visibility and therefore safety. Now we're going to talk about safety in a second in the advanced technologies as well, but better visibility, we can see the mirror. It's hard to show on camera just because the angles kind of skew, but the window being bigger does give you much better visibility down to the corners. And if you can see where the driver's sitting, I can see right down to this corner a little bit better. So better visibility, again, good mirrors there as well. That's all part of it, but again, modern things as well. Down here on this little piece here, which I don't even know if you can see. Yeah, right behind here because of the moose guard, you can't see it as well. There are modern LED daytime running lights, so you have the daytime running lights. Here you have a more modern projector beam headlight down here, and of course the projector beam headlight, in some models you had LEDs. These ones are not LEDs. The problem with LEDs is they don't create enough heat. So on the models from Peterbilt with LEDs, they have a heated element to allow you to still see through snow and that kind of thing, but these ones with the traditional, again, traditional look, traditional halogen lights, you have the best version of halogen lights on these. So safety is a really important piece while keeping that classic style. While we're talking about classic style, again, a lot of trucks are moving to more of a plastic front grille. It's just a lot like your cars, but here you still got that aluminum front grille. A lot of the classic lines are still in here, and that really matters to a lot of people. Peterbilt has always built sort of this classic iconic truck, and they're still giving you a lot of that classic iconic lines without having to sacrifice on the modern features. Speaking of modern features, let's talk about some of them. So I've pulled up my cheat sheet, but really there's only 3 modern technologies I want to talk about. And a lot of these are common in cars nowadays, but they weren't possible on the 389 model. They are possible on the 589 model. So you have the option of things like lane departure warnings. You have the option of adaptive cruise control and automatic emergency braking. All of those things are going to keep the driver safer on the road, and they are options to throw on a truck like this, bringing that modern technology available if you want it into a vehicle like this where you didn't have those options on the 389 model. In general, I think that's a good thing. Again, you don't have to have them, you don't have to use them, but having them there makes the driver have the option of having those fully modern features. And I know for myself, adaptive cruise control, I really appreciate it over regular cruise control. Something like that just keeps that speed a little bit. You don't always have to, you know, tap on and off of that. So for me, that's a win, but I get it. For some traditional people, maybe not so much of a win. So the final piece I want to show you is the improved sleeper design here. Now you can see this one has a window in the back. We haven't filmed anyone with a window in the back before. There's traditional lighting. This one has some optional lighting on the outside, but you can sort of see how that window would be nice. That's not necessarily a new thing. What is new here is, for instance, this section here. Now I should clarify, they are doing some work, adding some accessories to this truck, so we've kind of pulled it out of their workshop just to have it here for the video. And I am filming in wide angle, but again, you can have different size sort of heights to this area, but this one here has that microwave shelf there. So that microwave shelf has that tie down there. You can see you've got some plugs in the back there. And then of course you have this sort of more modern design here as we kind of zoom into what's there. You've got your Peterbilt climate system there. So the climate system of course has a diesel heater there, so it draws off your diesel, has a little tiny little exhaust pipe out the back of the cab here, which is pretty fun. And of course that allows you to have heat in the cab without running the diesel engine the whole time, but still drawing off your diesel. Little storage spaces like in here. Again, they are working on this vehicle, so there's other things. Got a little table design here, so if you want to eat there or work there, we'll go wide angle again, so you can eat or work or do whatever you want to do there. And it does lock into place there, so it's not moving in. You have to sort of lift the handle to get it in there. And of course, there are actually some space down there. So this is a new design. Again, it's going to make the cabin more accessible. Again, with that wider front cab, it can be more roomy. Now, this one here has a curtain just for the cab, or just for the sleeper section. You can get a curtain that goes right around the cab, and of course, being with the bigger, wider cab, that gives you quite a bit of space here and makes it feel a little bit more home. And again, if a driver's happier, driver's more safe, more comfortable, that kind of thing. So having this extra space in the cab can contribute to having this extra living space here. So we're still on the wide angle. You got a sort of a traditional, closet here, and then you got the fridge down there. So you can have your microwave, your fridge, everything else you need. Comfortable bed here, a little bit of a window, which is kind of nice. And again, lots and lots of storage in various parts around here. This is kind of a cool storage that I haven't seen before. It's got sort of the bungee cords in here, so that'll hold your stuff in there, and keep everything nice and neat. So improved sleeper design is part of the more modern features. Even though the size of this part isn't really changing, the overall design, just more modern feel. It's a nicer place to live for sure. So let's talk about the controversy with this truck. The 389, the model that I've talked about that this one is replacing, there are still some sitting around in the various dealers here of the Peterbilt Atlantic. None actually on the lot right now for me to show you, but they no longer make them. You can no longer order a 389, and that means you're stuck with a 589. Now, when I say stuck with, let's talk about that. The feeling I get, and the feeling that I've talked to these guys about, is that most of their customers are getting is that online, when they first saw this vehicle presented, they weren't so crazy about it. But as they've come to see it, people are more and more excited about it. To me, this is kind of like a resto mod classic car. You've got all the classic looks in there, but a lot of the modern stuff where you want it. The modern dash and the more space, it really does make a difference. And again, whether you like the digital gauge cluster or not, other than that, the rest of it itself does feel nice. It's more comfortable, it's more spacious, and if you're living in this truck for days or weeks on end, it is going to give you some more space and more just general feeling of a really nice place to be, and not so much like a penalty box of the older style. It's just nicer inside. What I love is they've kept that modern look. They've kept some of the modern features of, like, the classic look of the front end, the classic look of everything there. So you really do have a modern truck that meets the aerodynamic requirements and therefore the efficiency and greenhouse gas requirements that the government has put in place, but you still keep that classic design. In my mind, there's a lot less controversy than I've read about online when you see this truck in person. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you swing by Peterbilt Atlantic. And again, if you're not into trucking, you can swing by here. There's all kinds of swag inside. There's like sweatshirts and jackets and other kinds of stuff. It's a fun place to just swing by. You can grab some stuff there as well. And again, if you're interested in these trucks, interested in seeing more, we're gonna have a transmission talk coming up in the future, which I'm gonna talk about transmissions in a way that I've never seen anybody else talk about transmissions. I think it's going to be fun, so make sure you subscribe. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about why the transmissions on these trucks matter. Lots of technical details to come. Got lots more videos coming over the next year. We're going to really spend time getting to know these trucks more and more. So thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. And do me a favor, if you made it this far, leave a like, leave a comment to thank Peterbilt Atlantic for letting me do this. And we're going to try to grow this segment out, have some fun with it. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll talk to you in the next one.